Hello everyone and welcome back to the Pumpkin Patch and welcome back to Days of Halloween. I'm your host James Moser and today is a Horseman Select Day and it's my day. That's right, we're going to cover all the movies that I want to cover, which is kind of sort of technically what I do all month long, but I really try to not just be greedy and just pick my favorite movies. I try to put a lot of research into this stuff, but for today, forget the research, forget everybody else, because it's my picks and I'm choosing what I want to choose. So unapologetically, let's get straight into the movies that I love. My selection for the Halloween classic goes to the 1980 film City of the Living Dead. Also, subsequently, under its 1983 U.S. release name, The Gates of Hell. Fulci lives! Yes! Fresh off the success of his previous film, Zombie, or Zombie 2, or whatever it is that you want to call it, Lucio Fulci decided to take a turn at making a Lovecraftian-inspired horror film, and what came out of it, honestly, changed my life forever. City of the Living Dead is the first entry in the Beyond trilogy, a series of 3 films. This particular one, The Beyond, and then House by the Cemetery, which we covered last season. They're all kind of loosely related to each other, but you don't have to see all 3 to understand the plot. You can watch each one individual of each other. The story of this trippy, weird, kind of sort of 70s psychedelic type film starts with the suicide of Father Thomas. You see, there's a prophecy that states if a priest commits suicide right before All Saints' Day, then the gates of hell will open and the dead will walk the earth. This film sees Christopher George as Peter and Catriona McCall as Mary. Mary's had a vision of the suicide of Father Thomas and is trying to investigate what's going on, and she ends up teaming up with Peter to try to get to the bottom of this investigation, and subsequently to try to make sure that the gates of hell stay closed and that the dead don't walk the earth, which is, it's very Romero, as you can kind of see. But the dead are completely different than Romero. They're not really zombies, but they kind of sort of are. They're able to do weird stuff, and a lot of weird things happen. It rains maggots at one point in this film, because of course it does, because this film is very Lovecraftian, and it's very kind of out there. This movie is intensely creepy. It has this very heavy atmosphere, and it feels otherworldly. It's an odd, weird film. In fact, if you look up weird in the dictionary, it should have a picture of the cover of City of the Living Dead. It probably won't, but it definitely should. The whole film feels off. And you feel that throughout the entire movie, especially since, in typical Fulci fashion, the plotline kind of takes a back seat. It's just a spot fest. It's just a whole bunch of really cool things happening, and there's kind of a loose plotline that gets you from point A to point B. This film literally bleeds atmosphere. But when I saw this as a kid, man, I can tell you it changed my life. I had never seen a more creepy film. There are films that I think are far superior to this movie, and a lot of them have already been on the list. But City of the Living Dead is something that's just quintessentially me. I don't know anybody else who really just enjoys the Beyond trilogy the same way that I do. That's not to say that you don't exist. By all means, let me know in the comments if you do. But I just adore Fulci's work with the Beyond trilogy. Earlier this month, my man JT Wheatley said that the definitive way to see Nightbreed was on the 4K director's cut. But in this particular instance, I highly recommend that you get your hands on a copy of the film the way it was truly, honestly meant to be absorbed. The way that Lucio Fulci would appreciate you seeing The Gates of Hell. And that's on a used VHS tape that you buy in a bargain basement for 89 cents. This is the way you're supposed to see a movie like this. But this is the way that you should truly enjoy Gates of Hell, aka City of the Living Dead. Because, again, as I'm on record as saying, I love movies with multiple titles, and this has plenty of them. So definitely check it out, and if you don't like it, just get out of my life. I don't need you, and I don't need that type of negativity. My selection for the overlooked horror film of the day goes to the 2002 film Queen of the Damned. Stuart Townsend is my Lestat. You know what? I said what I said, because it's my day and I can say that. But I understand that a lot of people don't like Stuart Townsend as Lestat. I know that a lot of Anne Rice fans don't like Queen of the Damned, but I absolutely adore this movie. I'm not a huge fan of Anne Rice's vampire universe. It's just never really kind of done it for me, but I do really like Queen of the Damned. From the atmosphere to just the art direction, and of course the nu metal soundtrack, because early 2000s, I was a Disturbed fan. But this film completely encapsulates that early 2000s type of thing. A thing that's 20... No, we're not going to talk about that. That's a horror film in and of itself. It wasn't that long ago that this film came out. That's what I'm saying. Right? Right? This film follows Lestat, who just wakes up from his vampire nap. There's no real explanation, because the garage band next door is playing really loud, and they're not very good. But you know what'll make that band so much better? That emaciated, thin-lead man that Lestat's got going in spades. Plus, he's a vampire, which I think makes him really good at, like, record sales? I don't know, because they get super popular really fast. And he tells everybody it's because he's a vampire. And maybe they have that power. I don't really know if that's actually addressed in the Anne Rice books, but in the movie it's not. And that's the problem, is that he says that he's a vampire, and he keeps telling everybody he's a vampire. And eventually, the council of vampires got some issues with him, breaking the secret about vampires not being real, and they gotta step up and stop Lestat. However, that's when Aaliyah, who plays Akasha, the Queen of the Damned, it's in the title, she steps in, because what happened then set 1,000 web pages ablaze with Anne Rice fans being super mad about the film. But I do really love this movie, and I think maybe that gives me the perspective, because I love everything about this film. I think Stuart Townsend is amazing. Aaliyah is fantastic in the film. I love the soundtrack. Never gonna live that down. This film has a weird next generation Lost Boys feel to it that I really, really love. And I know there's a lot of people that dislike it, and that's fine too. But just know that you shouldn't hate me, because you see, I cannot be forsaken because I'm not the only one. My first selection for the late night double feature picture show goes to the 1989 film Puppet Master. Guess what, Pumpkin Patch? It is the very first appearance of Charles Band's Full Moon Pictures on Days of Halloween, and I am so happy to be able to bring it to you. This film is probably the one that most people know from that low budget, straight to video, just straight up gold mine that is Full Moon Pictures. The roster of puppets changed throughout the entire series of the Puppet Master movies, but in this particular one, there's Jester, Tunnler, Pinhead, Leech Woman, and the MVP himself, Blade. Each of these puppets were handmade by André Toulon and animated by an ancient Egyptian spell, magic, potion. It gets a little fuzzy as to what actually does the animating in this series. This film sees the puppets hunting after this group of psychics who are called to this beautiful hotel in response to this psychic message that another psychic sends to them. So they all show up to find out that the guy that they've gotten a message from has committed suicide. And now they're having to be in the hotel trying to figure out what happened to this guy, all while getting picked off one by evil puppets. But they know that puppets can't be good or evil. What matters is who's the puppet master. So they have to figure out who the puppet master is, because it's not André Toulon, because he's long dead. Also, interesting fact about this movie, surprisingly enough, this film was actually made to be a theatrical release. But my man Charlie Band did some math, he carried the one, and he realized that this movie is going to make a ton of bank on this burgeoning home video market. This thing was just right about to blow up. And boy, guess what? My man was not wrong, because this film just made bank for Full Moon Pictures. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Full Moon is still in business because of the amount of money that this particular film made. And if not, it's from the 127 other sequels that this film has. I kid, but there's at least 15 in the continuity of Puppet Master, and I'm pretty sure there's about 5 or 6 that got made while I said that sentence. And at the end of the day, this particular series was the first real series of films I got super into as a kid. I mean, and you can see what happens when you get into a low-budget series of films about killer puppets. I think you turn out okay. Don't move. Stop. My next pick for the late night double feature picture show goes to the 2017 documentary Haunters: Art of the Scare. As you can tell from watching our channel, you can tell that we have a great love of haunted houses here. Haunted houses, or just simply haunts, is something that we really truly passionate about. That's why we have a series called Haunstoria. But the word haunter kind of means like what it sounds like. It's one who haunts, one who runs a haunted house. Maybe they build props for a haunted house, they do makeup. Maybe it's people that go to haunt a lot and they support the industry that they love. But ultimately, that's what a haunter is. And this documentary is about all of those facets. There's not really much to share through a recommendation about this particular movie because it is just a documentary about haunted houses. But I really loved it. I thought it was a very well made documentary. And in fact, it delves in a little bit deeper into the future of haunts. It includes things like the live interactive theater haunts that are starting to pop up, and the torture trails, the ones where they grab you. But just let me be absolutely 100% crystal clear when I say this: torture trails are not haunted houses. Stop putting them in that industry. If you gotta grab somebody, then you ain't a haunt. You're something else, and you need to advertise yourself as something else. Just because you got somebody dressed up like a clown doesn't make you a haunt. Because we here at the Fall Horsemen stand by haunted houses, and we fully support the haunted attraction industry. We just don't support people that grab people. Because again, torture trails are not haunted houses. My selection for the Halloween and Other Media goes to MTV's Fear TV show that ran from 2000 to 2002. Alright, so earlier in the month I said that I didn't know what my favorite TV show was. I mean, honestly, I kinda was doing that for the lulz, because I did know what my favorite TV show is. It's this show. I love MTV's Fear. This show is a reality series that brings participants into haunted locations and makes them perform dares, all in the hopes to be able to win a prize at the very end. In the original pilot, it was $3,000. For all the rest of the shows, it was $5,000. And all the contestants get to split that. At least the contestants that are left. Because this particular show has the contestants perform dares. These particular dares are based sort of in the paranormal research world, which is funny, and we'll get back to that. They have to go do things like do an EVP, sit in complete silence in a room, do the Ouija board, maybe try to channel spirits, do some wicked witchcraft out in the middle of the woods with a giant snake. You know, just the typical stuff. You know, nothing, groundbreaking. Only it was completely groundbreaking because there were no ghost hunting shows before MTV's Fear. This invented the ghost hunting show. But ultimately, these contestants are brought in blindfolded into a safe house, the only place that they're allowed to stay and be completely comfortable at. They're given a color, and they're told to listen to the computer. The computer tells them the backstory about the location that they're at, any purported haunted activity, maybe it's demons, maybe it's ghosts, maybe it's just odd occurrences, whatever the case may be. They listen to the stories and then they go out into the field and they do these paranormal research events. At the end of the day, you can abort the mission. And what that does means you gotta leave. You're gone. You're off the show. You're completely out of it. And also, did I mention the fact that they have to go do these things usually completely by themselves? You might get somebody to walk you out to that spooky cement mixer, but ultimately, they're gonna leave you and you're gonna have to sit there for like 12 hours. Because that's the thing about MTV Fear. It goes on for usually about 2 days. and there is no one else there. There are no producers, there are no directors, there are no grips, there's no PA, there's no catering, there's nothing. They are there by themselves, recording everything by themselves. Very, very groundbreaking, but also very, very expensive. It cost a lot of money to put on each individual episode. They had to run cable, they had to run internet, they had to take things that just weren't out in places normally in 2000. So today, this show could probably make for like 15, 20 bucks and a ham sandwich, but back then it cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, a lot of people don't like Fear because they felt like it was all fake. And granted, some of the locations were definitely not real. One of the locations that they actually shot at was the place where they filmed Friday the 13th at, Lake Novi Bosco. That particular place is not haunted. Never has been. Never was. Never will be? I don't know how hauntings work like that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to limit its potential. So a lot of the stories were either embellished or completely made up. But the idea of the show is true. A whole bunch of it is actually 100% true, in that you are taking people out of their normal lives, sticking them in the vacuum of being in a completely new place, sometimes several states away, and you're forcing them to listen to a spooky story and then strap on some lights and walk around the spooky place by yourself. Oh, and by the way, I'm also going to need you to channel this killer spirit into your body. It doesn't matter if that story's real or not. This is some spooky stuff, and they don't know. The producers made sure that every single contestant on the show was properly spooked before they even stepped foot on the location. They would stay in hotel rooms by themselves. They wouldn't be able to call anybody because it's also 2000 and there's no like social media. The hotel room would only play horror movies. These are things that just got everybody into the mood. And this show is easily my favorite. In fact, during 2020, when everything was so bleak, my wife and I sat down and I rewatched MTV Fear, and she got to see it for the first time. And it was riveting, and she loved it just as much as I did. MTV's Fear is almost impossible to find in media. You can't get DVDs, there's no Blu-ray release. A lot of this stuff was shot with handy cams from the 2000s, which were on mini DV tapes at best, and you probably can't get a good transfer. But honestly, just hit YouTube's search bar up there. That's where we watched it. MTV doesn't seem to care too much about it, so they've never taken it down. People have reposted full episodes of Fear on YouTube. So go up there, check it out, then go down there in the comments and tell me how much you love this show. Because it's so good! Come on, I'm waiting for you. Go get it. Go watch it. And that does it, Pumpkin Patch. There are your 4 movies and 1 other media selection for today, my day. James's picks. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you like some of my picks. Let me know down in the comments what you think about them. I'll try to reply to all the comments that I can. If you don't mind, please click or treat. That's where you like, share, subscribe, and you ring that notification bell. You can stalk us on all the social media sites too. But honestly, if all you ever do is watch these episodes, thank you so much. We love you. We hope that you're having a great spooky season, and we hope that you're enjoying these episodes. But thank you for watching, and thank you for riding with the Fall Horsemen, where Halloween lives and fall is forever. Also, I got a buddy who wanted to say, hey, it's Blade from Puppet Master, because I love Puppet Master, and this is my buddy Blade. My sworn arch nemesis, the Lantern, and I are gonna work this out, I swear. My next selection for that... Tired. I haven't hit that lantern yet. It's the middle of the month, I'm tired. For the overlooked hill. The weight of cutting all these videos. But this type of thing. Stop asking for my code! It's hitting me. Ho! As you can tell from watching our show. So please feel like I screwed that up. I screwed that up bad. You can smell that 80s must on it. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's like a good cologne. Don't go to torture trails and don't go in the woods. And I hope that you, maybe possibly there's like half an episode of Mel's Diner taped over it. Because maybe it is. I don't know. If you enjoy them, hope. feel passionate enough. I skipped a paragraph entirely. No, I did. Let's go. I feel like I skipped a paragraph entirely.